The blue vessels, injected with blue latex, those are the veins. The pink are kind of an off-white now because this is fetal ap, are the arteries. Okay, so we're going to go through the major veins first, and of course we'll start with the heart, which is pretty obvious. 4 chambers. This would be the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left ventricle, and the left atrium. And again, the atria are much thinner wall, more flexible, almost like the ears of a floppy-eared dog. And of course, this is much more muscular because that actually pumps the blood from the heart. We're going to start with a major vein right here. That's actually draining the upper part of the body and taking blood into the right atrium. That's called the superior vena cava or the cephalic vena cava. And then coming in from below or behind, okay, also into the right atrium is this vessel, and that would be the inferior vena cava, or also known as the caudal vena cava. All right, so we start up here, and you can see what looks sort of like a Y. The arms of the Y are brachiocephalic veins, right and left. They drain blood into the superior vena cava, or cephalic vena cava, into the right atrium. Then we got other veins that are actually draining blood into the brachiocephalic veins. Here we have the right subclavian vein, this blue one right here. It's actually draining the right forelimb. The next one is called a cephalic vein. And then we have a pair of jugular veins. Now the first one here is cut. That's an external jugular. So that'd be right external jugular. It's usually cut, because that's where they slash in here, drain the blood out, and inject the latex. Okay? And this would be the right internal jugular vein. So the right internal jugular vein, the left external jugular vein, the cephalic vein, and the subclavian vein all drain into the brachiocephalic veins. And you got the same thing on the left side. So here you got this one's broken, but this is the left internal jugular vein, which runs down here. This is the left external jugular vein, and this is the left cephalic vein, and the left subclavian vein, draining the left forelimb. All of them drain into the brachiocephalic veins, right and left, into the superior vena cava, or cephalic vena cava, into the right atrium. Okay? And then again, this is your abdominal, or inferior vena cava rather, or caudal vena cava. It runs through the diaphragm, and now here we're in the abdominal pelvic cavity. You can see it running roughly along the midline. Again, that's the inferior vena cava, or the caudal vena cava. Major vein here, which is draining the kidney, that's left, so that'd be the left renal vein. Again, there's the inferior vena cava, and then down here you can see there's a branch that drain into the inferior vena cava. Those would be the common iliac veins. Pigs do have common iliac veins, but they don't have common iliac arteries. Okay? And here you can see it's an extension. Okay, now let's look at the major arteries, and they're going to be in pink, or kind of an off-white. First one you can see right here. This is draining the right ventricle, and that's the pulmonary trunk. Okay, which splits in the pulmonary arteries, which supply the lungs. You can see on either side, right and left lungs. Okay, behind that you can see the aortic arch. But notice in pigs, there are only 2 arteries coming off the aortic arch, not 3 as in humans. The first one is the same as what we have. It's called the brachiocephalic artery, and it supplies the right brachiocephalic artery, supplying the right forelimb, the right common carotid artery, okay, which actually supplies the right side of the neck and head, okay, that's this one right here, and then the left common carotid artery supplies the left side of the neck and head. In pigs, they all come off the brachiocephalic artery, this first one. In humans, the left common carotid artery comes directly off the aortic arch. The last vessel here then, and it's the second and last one in pigs, is the left subclavian artery. You can see it runs out here, and it supplies the right forelimb. Excuse me, left forelimb, right here. The stringy stuff here, those are nerves. You can ignore that. Okay, so you be nerves through the forelimbs. Okay, then we come down here, and you can see that this is the abdominal aorta, or actually the thoracic aorta. When it penetrates the diaphragm, now it's known as the abdominal aorta, and the first major artery coming off the abdominal aorta is this, which is the celiac artery. That supplies many of the abdominal pelvic organs. The next one is this one, which is a perimesenteric artery, supplies most of the rest of the abdominal pelvic artery, or organs rather. And it comes down here, and there's a branch that comes off and supplies the left kidney. That'd be the left renal artery, and you can see it runs parallel to the left renal vein, which tends to be larger. Okay, and it comes down here, and then it forks. Actually, you've got 2 major forks here. Okay, The ones on the very outside, very thin, these are gonadal arteries. You can ignore those on your list. They supply the sex organs. And then this one and this one, okay, you'd think those would be common iliac arteries. They're the external iliac arteries. There are no common iliac arteries in the pig. That's because coming deep, directly off the abdominal aorta, would be the internal iliac arteries. In humans, remember, you have common iliac arteries, then you get a branch off the external iliac artery, and then it becomes the external iliac. But here, you start with the external iliac, and it runs out. As you can see here, comes right out here, goes in the leg, and becomes the femoral artery, right and left. Now the medial branch you can see here, okay, right here and right here, these are the umbilical arteries, and they run alongside what becomes the urinary bladder, this sac right here. And then they go right up into the umbilical cord, and are carrying blood from the fetus via the umbilical cord to the placenta. Then coming back is a single vessel called the umbilical vein. It runs here through the cord. It's bringing oxygenated blood, highly oxygenated blood, back to the fetus. You can see it also runs up through the liver. And that's this vessel right here. Okay, so normally this would be intact. This would connect to that. Here's another exception to the rule that arteries carry blood of higher oxygen content than veins. Last time we talked about the pulmonary circuit, with pulmonary arteries carrying blood of lower oxygen content than the corresponding veins, which is blue and red, the reverse. Here, the umbilical circuit is the same. Umbilical arteries are carrying blood from the fetus to the placenta, so blood can be oxygenated, then it's brought back, highly oxygenated, from the placenta back to the fetus. So the umbilical circuit and the pulmonary circuit are exceptions to the rule that arteries carry blood of higher oxygen content than veins. Not in the pulmonary circuit and not in the umbilical circuit. Okay? Any questions? Okay.